Welcome to the Property Profits Real Estate Podcast, the show where real estate investors talk strategy, capital, deals, and growth with your host, Dave Dubeau.
Hey, gang, let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought, wouldn't it be great to find a pool of investors who are actively looking for deals? Well, if you've ever thought that, pay attention to today's episode, because our special guest zooming in from beautiful Utah is Christion Sadler, and that's what he and his company do. They've created a platform that connects active operators and fund managers and people with deals looking to raise capital with investors who are looking to invest. So, Christion, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dave. I'm glad to be here.
All right, so I kind of bumbled through an introduction there. Can you kind of clarify things a little bit more for us? So explain a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Sure. Yeah. It's hard not to bumble through. There's a lot going on with iShare and many different aspects and initiatives on what we're doing. Just to make it simple is we are advocates for the passive investor and we are allies to the real estate sponsor. So the passive investor are the people out there that oftentimes don't really look at themselves as a passive investor. That's not what they call themselves. They're typically doctors, attorneys, small business owners, but they have money that they want to put to work and they want to, have that money earned for them passively. So we're really advocates for those people because there's not very many people who are. And, that's the lifeblood of business and real estate, really. If you look at how large syndications are funded, the majority of that comes through that private investment network. Right. And then on the other side of that, of course, there wouldn't be passive investments if there weren't operators willing to get out there, roll up their sleeves, find the opportunities and run those. And so that's the two audiences that we serve. And so we're always looking for good ways to help operators get more deals done and create more good opportunities in the market. And we're also wanting to create great ways for those passive investors to do proper due diligence, understand risk, and make smart decisions in investing. Because every time a deal goes bad, every time an investor feels like they got harmed or ripped off in one way or another, it harms the industry as a whole. So that is, in a nutshell, what we do from a broad sense.
So when did you start this platform? How long has it been going for? Right now we're April of 2026 as we're recording this. When did you guys get started?
Yeah, and we started early 2022 is when we first formed the company. And some background on that is my co-founder, Michael Anderson, he founded a company called Real Source. They did about $7.3 billion worth of value-add multifamily over his tenure there. He sold that to his business partner about 7 years ago and decided to retire. They had about $1 billion in assets under management at that time, but he no longer wanted to operate that business. And then he realized that he didn't have any retirement skills, as he puts it. So he decided he wanted to get back into building businesses and really, a lot more of it came from a purpose at this point because the industry had treated him so well. He wanted to create things that could make the industry better as a whole. So he called me around Christmas time of 2021. That's when we were introduced, and we assembled a team over the next few months. And that's where we really birthed the idea of iShare. Of course, it started much smaller and with many less initiatives than we have now.
So are you kind of the tech brains behind the whole operation, or what's your role in the company, Christion?
No. In fact, if you understand the whole story of us, I'm the Neanderthal, I guess, in this whole aspect.
I could relate to that.
Yeah.
My ex-wife has called me that quite often, but anyhow.
Nice. Yeah, Mike and his team, he's put together these just geniuses that are using quantum computers and analytics and all kinds of things. And I'm over here like, hey, let's start a hard money fund. And, let's just give people a solid return at this rate and let's borrow it out at that rate. So that's the difference of the simplicity of my brain versus their brain, I guess, is they're looking into the future. And I'm just saying, hey, let's use something that's tried and true and made money every real estate deal I've ever been a part of.
So, Christion, with iShare, you started in 2022. Things are up and rolling. it's been a rocky path for a lot of folks in the multifamily space over the last couple of years. So you kind of got in at the end of the heyday for that, and just as things were really starting to shake out. Has that affected anything? Did you guys have any challenges with some operators, their deals going south in the platform?
So I don't know of any that have gone south within the platform, any that we've specifically promoted, but it's definitely been, a shaky industry as a whole, right? And so has it changed anything? I'm sure that it has. Our path has definitely not been as linear as you ever expect it to be. Of course, it never is, I guess.
Yeah.
So yes, I think it's changed things, but I don't know of anybody, within our platform that's had anything go, really wrong per se. However, I've known plenty of operators in our network that we've met who have run into challenges, and some have handled those, of course, better than others.
Hey there, if you're a capital raiser, a syndicator, or a fund manager, and you're looking for a steady flow of incoming accredited investor leads, then go ahead, grab a free copy of my new book, How to Get 20 Accredited Investor Meetings Every Month Without Cold Calling, Networking, or Chasing People. You can get that at 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com. Again, that's the number 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com.
So having a platform that provides tons of value for both operators, and it provides value for passive investors. But you guys, as the kind of the glue or the connector, that's quite a bit of responsibility. So what do you do to vet operators to make sure you're not just letting anybody and anyone in with crappy deals or no experience or shysters? Like, how do you control the quality on the operator side?
Sure. Yeah, it is a big responsibility. And we also have to, limit our exposure in that, because you can never, truly tell somebody's character until, things come up. So what we've done instead is created more transparency and disclosure more than anything. I mean, typically you find out about a passive investment because your buddy got into it, or somebody knew somebody, or maybe nowadays you saw an ad online. But many passive investors don't know how to do really good due diligence. And it's oftentimes difficult for them to ask the hard questions that should be asked. Mm-hmm. So what we have is, before anybody can advertise on our platform, we have a sponsor disclosure process that people go through. And so they're going to share about their track record, and they're going to list that out. They're going to talk about how their organization is formed and how their reporting works. And, we're going to do background checks on everybody involved to, at least, like you said, try to keep out, if they're a shyster and they've already been, caught for that, then we want to make sure that that is excluded from what we're doing. So those are the things that we've done, is just created more disclosure, and we're creating additional processes for passive investors to not only see that on our platform, but be able to duplicate it when they're going to analyze any project out there. It's all about understanding the risk. Every investment has risk. And anytime somebody says there's no risk is the time that you should run for the hills, right? But do you truly understand the risk? And are you competent to make a good decision on whether you are suitable for that particular deal?
Yeah, if you're comfortable with that operator, that level of risk. Okay, so it sounds like you're doing some work up front to vet the operators. That's good. You're also educating your passive investors, or giving them educational opportunities so they can kind of hone up on their due diligence skills themselves. So how does the platform itself work? Like, how do operators and investors get connected on there?
Yeah. So the easiest way to explain it is just explaining where we fit. We fit in the marketing space. Because we're not broker dealers, we don't want to go down that road. We're not making direct connections. We essentially operate in the marketing space. So with the Listing Hub, which is our platform, that's a place where you can go list your interest in existing syndications if you're trying to exit and get liquidity. That's where we started, is providing that liquidity that was never available in real estate.
So,
and then, of course,
investors trying to sell their interest in a deal. Passive
Correct.
investors trying to sell their interest in a syndication, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Got it.
And then that morphed into where we were actually allowing new transactions when we were helping to promote, a new offering from our advertising services. So we essentially go out there and we'll do a full go-to-market strategy for folks, putting them on all the major platforms. And then we've built a list of over 6,000 accredited investors that we can send out to as well. And so, if you think about it from that standpoint, we are really that bridge just from a marketing standpoint and awareness standpoint. And then, like you said, trying to build some additional tools so both sides have more ways to win.
I don't think sorry, speaking of a Neanderthal, I don't think I get it. So
Okay.
basically you've got a list of 6,000 passive investors. You work with operators after you've vetted with them. You create a whole marketing plan for them and launch it. Part of that is promoting them to your 6,000 passive investors. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yep, you're getting it. And then the other side of that is taking them to market. So putting them on all the major platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Google, LinkedIn, X, everywhere, basically creating the media behind it. We're a very media-driven company. We spent over $200,000 building out our podcast studio and our, over in Murray, Utah. And then we actually fly out on site and meet with these guys, help them with their messaging, and then promote that out there to the broader audience.
Got it. Okay, now I'm getting it. So it's not necessarily a community where sponsors and investors can kind of mix and mill around together and get to know each other. It's more structured than that, but I'm getting the gist of it.
And we are working towards that side of it as well. We just hosted our first large event last year, which was the Capital Raise Forum. And this year we're changing the name to the Private Investment Forum because last year was very much focused on the operators and showing them different things and new technology and introducing them to other people who had raised, literally billions of dollars in equity. And this time it's going to be much more focused on both sides of the equation. So we're going to have, a segment of the population of the passive investors, a segment that are the operators, and they'll get to know each other, and it'll be a lot of fun.
It'll be a capital raising speed dating.
Yes, exactly. It's actually part of it. And we
awesome.
do it at a local racetrack here in Utah, world-renowned racetrack. So there'll be fun mixed with networking and some good training along the way.
No, that sounds fantastic. Well, this is very, very interesting, Christion. Congratulations on setting up this platform, getting things rolling. So a couple of final questions as we wrap things up. We could go for a long time, but first question I've got is, how do you typically find operators that you work with? So, because there's two sides of the equation. There's operators and then there's passive investors. So what are you guys doing to find the operators these days?
Yeah. So luckily operators are not hard to find, right? They're out there trying to get the word out about what they're doing. We came into it with a fairly large network. I've been a real estate investor for over 20 years. Mike's been specifically in syndication and raising funds for over 40 years. So many of those were in our network. And then, of course, we've been going to events. So things like the Best Ever Conference and, sponsoring events like that. But then also, just advertising online as well. I would say the majority of it comes from network and word of mouth. After that would be the events. And then, third on that list is just outwardly advertising online to find new operators that maybe haven't heard of us yet.
Okay. And then the other side is the investor side, the passive investor. So how do you guys find more of those people and add them to your community?
Yeah. And that is the niche that I think was something that we had to crack. And once we did, that's where a lot of value came to our platform, because as I mentioned earlier, these people don't identify themselves as, passive accredited investors.
We wish they did, but they don't. Yeah.
We all wish they just had a sign out there, advertising. But we have, found a lot of things through internet marketing and those types of things. And then, of course, same thing, word of mouth does spread. But we have found a way to target those folks online. And that's how we continue to build that. So we're always running, new campaigns. We're also ramping up some of our own funds, that we'll be promoting. And that continues to build that list because as much as anybody hates to hear this, there's no such thing as an exclusive relationship with an investor. If they're out there looking for investments, they're looking for many types of investments. And so we understand that the same investor that might invest in our, hard money platform might be the same one that invests in our, quantum computing analytics, code GP platform. So there's that share there of that pool. And it's all about providing them with good opportunities that they can analyze, helping them make better decisions and choose the ones that are a good fit for them.
Christion, if people want to connect with you and find out more, where should they go?
Why don't you just grab us on social media or call us directly? And social media, pre-iShare, really easy to spell, PREISHARE. Or if you want to grab me personally, as long as you spell my first name right, Christion, CHRISTION, and then it's Sadler with 1D, you'll be able to find us.
Awesome, Christion. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, take care, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Property Profits Podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, apply at daveinterviews.com.